on reset agenda or step aside. 150 Ghanaians detained in men designed to tarnish NPP image. 2025 budget fails to address most pressing economic challenges facing Ghanaians, says Opon Nkrumah. Despite party ties, Dr. Amwa has asked for the investigation of the National Cathedral. Let's go for a quick commercial break, and when we are back, I would give you the news in details.
Admission, admission, admission. Are you looking for a computer institution with a serene atmosphere in equipping you with the ability to deepen your understanding and in-depth knowledge in computerization? Then the answer is Big Family Multimedia Institute. Our dedicated and experienced teachers are ready to provide personal attention, support, and help you bring your fusion to bear. We are located at Amasama and Dobrogono, Upper Class Junction, and Santa Maria Family and Friend. For more information, contact 0555 20 80 56 0540 932 188. Website bfmnetworks.com. Email info@bfmnetwork.com. Other affiliates include Center for Trade, Big Family TV, Big Family News, Big Family Radio, Big Family Event, Big Family Multimedia Institute, KabaraInfo.com, Trustees, Okman Motors, Soko Mall, ABK TV Ghana. Enroll now and experience the difference.
You are all that matters.
You're welcome back. Now the news in details. President John Dramani Mahama has issued a stern warning to chief executive officers of state-owned enterprises, stating that only those willing to align with his administration's reset agenda will retain their positions. Speaking at a meeting with the state-owned enterprises under the State Interest and Governance Authority, SICA, on March 13th, Mahama made it clear that underperforming executives must either improve or step aside. If you are not matching the pace of the reset agenda, you might be asked to step aside, he declared. We expect not something completely different from you. Your performance will determine whether you continue in your roles when we review progress in 2026. The president stressed the urgent need for efficiency, accountability, and profitability within state-owned enterprises. Condemning years of mismanagement and financial waste, he insisted that the era of impunity and mediocrity in state-owned enterprises must come to an end. Mahama also announced stricter performance measures for state-owned enterprises leadership, stating that CEOs will be required to submit audited financial statements annually. Non-compliance, he warned, could result in severe penalties, including dismissal. The Ghanaian people deserve better, and we will not accept mediocrity, he stated. If you are not prepared to be part of the reset, now is the time to walk out.
We expect something completely different from you. The reports we would look at next year will be the report for 2024. So really your performance will show when we do the 2026 review. That will show for 2025. And I'm going to come and sit in that review, and we will mark you based on your performances. And if you're not matching with the pace of the reset agenda, you might be asked to step aside. And so if that adds to the horror movie, that's the intention. Indeed, many of your entities are at their lowest point in the entire history of the Fourth Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of impunity, mediocrity, and financial recklessness must end today.
Still on the same story. Furthermore, President John Dramani Mahama has declared that the era of mediocrity and financial mismanagement in state-owned enterprises must come to an end. He has consequently warned that loss-making at state-owned enterprises will no longer be tolerated and will either be merged, privatized, or closed. Speaking at a meeting with CEOs of specified entities under the State Interest and Governance Authority, SICA, on Thursday, March 13th, President Mahama called for a complete reset of state-owned enterprises to drive their transformation, and he will assess them based on their performance. According to President Mahama, the meeting was not just a forum for discussion, but a decisive call to action, demanding bold leadership, accountability, and an unwavering commitment to excellence from state-owned enterprises executives. This meeting reaffirms my commitment to shaking up laws-making at state-owned enterprises and realigning them to break even and transition into profitability. My 2024 campaign promises and the 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana were not mere rhetoric, he stated.
Negotiate and enforce performance contracts with heads of entities. 2. Conduct regular in-depth assessment of SOE finances, ensuring transparency and exposing mismanagement. 3. Issue binding directives, implement compliance mechanisms, and intervene directly in underperforming entities. 4. Commission independent audits to identify inefficiencies and financial leakages. And 5. Set and monitor performance metrics with tangible consequences for non-performance. Loss-making SOEs will no longer be tolerated. They will be swiftly reformed, they will be merged, privatized, or shut down.
Away from that story, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has clarified that 150 Ghanaians are currently facing imminent deportation from the United States, contrary to earlier reports suggesting a mass deportation of individuals under President Donald Trump. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Mr. Ablakwa stated that official information from U.S. authorities indicates a significantly lower number of affected individuals. According to him, only 150 Ghanaians are at risk of deportation from the U.S., as previously reported in the media. He also assured that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working closely with U.S. authorities to safeguard the rights and dignity of affected Ghanaians. There have been publications that many Ghanaians will be affected by the mass deportation by the United States. But from the brief that has been shared with me from the officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they allay fears that the numbers are not that high and that currently the official communication the ministry has received from Washington, D.C. is 150, which face imminent deportation, he stated.
Updates from the Washington mission indicates as follows. Currently, there are 150 Ghanaians in detention across various centers in the U.S. who are awaiting deportation for crimes such as rape, internet fraud, and illegal entry. None of the affected Ghanaians are in detention as we speak. 50 out of the 150 individuals have received final deportation orders from the courts. Their deportation is expected to take place by mid-year, mid-2025. The remaining 100 cases are either under appeal or have been dismissed. Representations have been made to U.S. authorities on behalf of one Ghanaian on the grounds of ill health, and he has been released to seek medical care. 3 Ghanaians have also been processed and are scheduled to depart from the United States on commercial flights on the 19th of March 2025, the 28th of March 2025, and 1st April 2025, respectively. 10 Ghanaians have also been interviewed by the embassy to verify their nationalities and ensure that they have received a fair hearing. They are now awaiting the Department of Homeland Security to purchase their flight tickets before their travel documents for their deportation can be issued.
Still on that story. Addressing on the floor of Parliament, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, announced that the government has reduced in the cost of an ordinary passport application from 500 cedis to 350 Ghana cedis, representing a 30% decrease aimed at making passports more affordable while maintaining high security standards. According to him, the government recognizes concerns about the affordability of the new passport and is committed to ensuring that the cost remains reasonable while maintaining high security standards. In our effort to make passports more accessible to all Ghanaians, and per the instruction I have received from the President, we are pleased to announce that the cost of the ordinary passport booklet, the 32-page, will be reduced from 500 Ghana cedis to 350 Ghana cedis, he stated. He further disclosed that an amendment to the fees and charges regulations will soon be presented to Parliament for approval to facilitate this reduction. In addition to the price cut, Mr. Ablakwa announced that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration will introduce a door-to-door passport delivery service as part of its new 24-hour passport service initiative. The move comes in response to concerns about delays and inefficiencies in the passport application process, ensuring that Ghanaians can now receive their passports more conveniently. The announcement follows the government's April 2024 increase in passport fees, which was implemented under the 2023 Fees and Charges Regulation.
In our efforts to make passports more accessible to all Ghanaians and per instructions I have received from His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, we are pleased to announce a reduction in the cost of the ordinary passport booklet, that is the 32-page booklet, from the 500 Ghana cedis to 350 Ghana cedis. We will in the coming days be presenting an amendment to the fees and charges to ensure that this reduction is approved by the House from 500 Ghana cedis down to 350 Ghana cedis. That is the new policy position of the Mahama administration. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you might have read that a passport reform committee has been set up to study and review the contract which we inherited. That review is underway, and indeed all the partners are meeting tomorrow to conclude the exercise of the review. When the review of the contract is done, we will move into a phase-out rollout of the chip-embedded passport, and we expect a smooth transition.
Moving on to other stories. The Minister of Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, has announced the government's plan to bridge healthcare financing gaps by introducing the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, Mahama Cares. This initiative aims to ensure fairness in healthcare financing, eliminate disparities in treatment access, and ultimately improve Ghanaians' well-being. The Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund will provide financial support to individuals battling chronic and life-threatening illnesses, ensuring that financial constraints no longer hinder access to quality health care. Speaking at the launch of the 9-member operationalization task force for the Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund on Wednesday, March 12th, the health minister emphasized the fund's role in addressing the high cost of specialized treatment. He reiterated that the initiative is designed to promote equity in healthcare access and enhance the country's overall health outcomes. We promised to launch the Mahama Cares to take care of chronic diseases in this country. It was born out of the fact that the mortality with respect to chronic diseases is very high. And before you will be able to operationalize such a fund, you need to go through a whole lot of processes. So, we needed a task force in place to present that roadmap. We should be able to consolidate all inputs, They are going to be at the center of affairs.
People, this is a promise of hope. Mahama Care is not merely a health initiative. It is a commitment to reducing death caused by chronic diseases. It's about ensuring that no one is denied treatment due to an inability to afford it. It is about restoring dignity to health care. It's about guaranteeing that our most vulnerable citizens receive the care they deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on the first step of a long but rewarding journey. The road ahead will demand determination, innovation, and collaboration. But the impact we can create together is immeasurable. With that, it is my great honor to officially inaugurate Mahama Care's Technical Task Force. I eagerly look forward to the remarkable work that will unfold and the impact this initiative will have on lives of many.
On behalf of the committee, we wholeheartedly accept to do this work. And as we said, we'll do it with passion. We'll give it all our heart, mind, soul, spirit to alleviate the great suffering of people in this nation and work by the terms of reference. So it's a great honor to be asked to do this. And on behalf of the team, we thank His Excellency the President. We thank you. We thank the whole nation because the President and others are acting on behalf of the nation. And we assure you that we would deliver recommendations that you can consider pass on to the President, for this to be launched.
Away from that story, former Finance Minister Mohammed Amin Adam has criticized the 2025 budget statement and economic policy, calling it a deceptive document intended to destroy the New Patriotic Party's reputation, NPP. Speaking at a news conference on Thursday, 13th March, Amin Adam stated that the data supplied by the current finance minister, Dr. Ato Folsen, were incorrect and were purposefully designed to cast the NPP government in a negative light. During the 2025 budget statement and economic policy presentation, the finance minister, Kaisel Ato Folsen, said that economic challenges inherited by the new administration remain there. However, Amin Adam strongly refuted these claims, saying the 2025 budget was a hatchet job, going to be the vehicle for confirming what had been perfectly rehearsed to crown the narrative by putting data to unfounded claims, and our intelligence has been confirmed that the finance minister did a hatchet job. The government churned out fiscal deficit on commitment basis of 7.6% of GDP and privacy deficit of 3.6% of GDP, and this will imply that the NPP mismanaged the fiscals. In fact, an economy with such strong revenue performance and expenditure controls as we have seen from the data that the minister presented cannot produce the kind of elevated fiscal outturns the minister announced. We see a lot of contradictions.
The government, through the 2025 budget statement, churned out fiscal deficit on commitment basis of 7.6% of GDP and a primary deficit of 3.6% of GDP. This would imply, if you look at them on their face value, that the NPP administration mismanaged the fiscals in accord with the intentions of the NDC government. In fact, an economy with such strong revenue performance and expenditure controls, as we have seen from the data the minister presented, cannot produce the kind of elevated fiscal outturns the minister announced. We see a lot of contradictions there. And this, we are very confident, will be exposed.
Still on the same story. Meanwhile, the former minister, Dr. Amin Mohammed, added that, colleagues, this is where it gets interesting. The NDC government have erroneously churned out wrong data in a bid to tarnish the image of the NPP administration by including 49.2 billion Ghana cedis in expenditure claims without any basis.
But colleagues, this is where it gets interesting. They have erroneously churned out this wrong data in a bid to tarnish the image of the NPP administration by including 49.2 billion Ghana cedis in expenditure claims without any basis. Before the start of the IMF program in 2023, we had agreed with the IMF to set the fiscal anchor based on which we will monitor the IMF program. And these were the fiscal balances on commitment basis, primary balance and overall fiscal balance. It was in a bid to have a real-time view on arrears accumulation. So we ring-fenced commitments that had gone through the gift mix system then and were awaiting payment. These commitments were termed outstanding expenditure claims. Thus, if you look at the 2022 budget outturn, you will see this concept in there. Per the IMF program, we then agreed to monitor the evolution of these claims vis-à-vis their net build-up. The reason for this approach is that Ghana is a developing nation with developmental needs. And so it was going to be unrealistic in the context of the program to not have new commitments. But the plan was to ensure that on net terms, the build-up remained almost.
The former minister also added that we must also note that our fiscal framework focuses on central government operations. Therefore, claims which have not been properly audited can introduce many elements of general government, which is what we think has happened. A classic example is the Controller and Accountant General final account, which is one of the sources of information for the fiscal framework, but is based on general government accounting. If you take the information from it, on the face of the value and plug it into the fiscal framework, you will be reporting on two very distinct items. And so, what we usually do is to work through the numbers and pick the central government expenditures only. This can only be done through verifications and auditing.
We must also note that our fiscal framework focuses on central government operations. Therefore, claims which have not been properly audited can introduce many elements of general government, which is what we think has happened. A classic example is the Controller and Accountant General's final accounts, which is one of the sources of information for the fiscal framework, but is based on general government accounting. So if you take the information from it on the face value and plug it into the fiscal framework, you will be reporting on two very distinct items. And so what we usually do at the Ministry of Finance is to work through the numbers and pick the central government expenditures only. This can only be done, ladies and gentlemen, through verification and auditing. It is therefore curious how the finance minister will come to Parliament with a budget and say that the fiscal deficit and primary deficit on commitment, which he announced, were derived using a certain data on claims, which he is yet to audit. Yet, he has announced results derived from the data to the effect that the economy was badly managed. It is too elementary to know that when you have not audited your figures, you cannot use them for an important work like the national budget. Otherwise, you create credibility problems for the conclusions of the budget, as the Honorable Atifosin has just done. And so you put 49.2 billion Ghana cedis in the fiscal framework to arrive at higher fiscal deficit. And then, in the same budget, you say that you are yet to audit the 49.2 billion Ghana cedis.
Moving on to other stories. The minority in Parliament has strongly criticized the 2025 budget statements and economic policies. arguing that it fails to address the most pressing economic challenges facing Ghanaians. Speaking at a press conference on Thursday, 13th March, former Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, outlined key concerns, including the high cost of living, unemployment, and raising electricity tariffs. Oppong Nkrumah accused the government of ignoring the expectations of the public, particularly young people and small businesses, who had hoped for relief measures. Before the budget, many of you went on the streets and asked people what they expected as the economic results of the government's revenue and expenditure plans. The key issues raised were the cost of living, unemployment, infrastructure, investment, education, healthcare, and an improved business climate. Unfortunately, these have not been addressed. He stated, one of the minority's major concerns is the government's decision to implement a quarterly adjustment of electricity tariffs. Every 3 months, light bills will go up, Oppong Nkrumah noted, adding that the removal of subsidies on gas for independent power producers, IPPs, will further increase the cost of power for consumers.
You recall President Mahama, candidate Mahama, promising the next, don't worry, we'll continue the projects and finish them and employ you in them. Now, you are realizing that this is becoming an illusion. Not only is it worrying, not only is it contrary, but abandoning these projects or giving them out as franchises, like the President mentioned when he came to Parliament for SONA, will jeopardize the efforts at universal health coverage. The millions of citizens in remote districts who are looking forward to their lives being saved from this healthcare intervention are now at risk. Mr. President, we beg you in the name of God, please do not abandon the Agenda 111 project for political reasons.
Furthermore, the minority expressed disappointment in the government's handling of infrastructure projects. Oppong Nkrumah questioned the feasibility of the Big Push infrastructure agenda, arguing that the budget does not allocate sufficient funds to support it. If the government was serious about its own $10 billion infrastructure plan, it would have allocated at least $2.5 billion per year. Yet, this is not reflected in the budget, he remarked. The minority also raised alarm over the government's approach to the Agenda 111 hospital project, warning that cutting funds for privatizing these health facilities could derail efforts to achieve universal health care. Mr. President, we beg you in the name of God, please do not abandon the Agenda 111 project for political reasons, Oppong Nkrumah pleaded. The minority dismissed the 2025 budget as a failure to deliver the promised economic reset. It does not offer any hope. Unfortunately, it will worsen the cost of living, deepen unemployment, and slow down infrastructure development. Ghanaians deserve better, Oppong Nkrumah declared.
You recall President Mahama, candidate Mahama, promising the next, don't worry, we'll continue the projects and finish them and employ you in them. Now, you are realizing that this is becoming an illusion. Not only is it worrying, not only is it contrary, but abandoning these projects or giving them out as franchises, like the President mentioned when he came to Parliament for SONA, will jeopardize the efforts at universal health coverage. The millions of citizens in remote districts who are looking forward to their lives being saved from this healthcare intervention are now at risk. Mr. President, we beg you in the name of God, please do not abandon the Agenda 111 project for political reasons. Infrastructure investments are known to be a key if you want to open up, grow the economy, create more jobs. Unfortunately, however, the government has failed in making the necessary budget allocations to give meaning to even their own planned infrastructure program. Their planned infrastructure program is what? The Big Push. $10 billion. If you prorate it over 4 years, that's about $2.5 billion per annum. You will expect that if the government itself is serious about its own Big Push, they will make available $2.5 billion in their first budget. They have all the goodwill and the credibility. If you go into the fiscal tables, it's only $800 million, less than $1 In effect, ladies and gentlemen, the big push itself needs a push. Else, nothing meaningful will happen in their infrastructure program.
Now the last story. Former Finance Minister Dr. Stephen Amoah has added his voice to growing concerns surrounding the Stout National Cathedral project in Ghana. Despite expressing his general support for the initiative, Dr. Amoah echoed criticisms regarding the project's funding, escalating costs, and questioned its location, calling for a thorough investigation into the financial aspects. According to him, he is not against it because he is a Christian, but he has a concern about how much has gone into the foundation, he declared. He further also added that the location of the National Cathedral is a problem. He personally thinks even with the location, there is a problem. With the International Conference Center and Parliament nearby, they should have been considered a different location, he remarked. He emphasized that the financial aspects of the cathedral project are a significant concern, stating, talking about the money in the cathedral, it is a huge concern that I share with those who criticize it. And of course, we need to complete investigations on that. He said, the cathedral, which will be located in the heart of the capital of Accra, is expected to serve as a national monument for religious and cultural activities. The project is slated to include a large sanctuary as well as facilities for conferences, exhibitions, and other events. However, the project has been caught in controversy due to its high cost, the source of funding, and allegations of embezzlement of funds by its board of trustees. Critics argue that the funds allocated for the cathedral could be better used to address pressing social and economic issues such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure development.
Finished. Now you come to cathedral. Honestly, I am not against cathedral because I'm a Christian, but I am with those who are raising concerns about how much has gone into our foundation. Because I also share with them, I think that money should be investigated. And people who are raising concerns are right, even though I'm MPP. Two, I personally think even the location is a problem. Having International Conference Center and having Parliament there, they could have taken it somewhere. So talking about the money in cathedral is a huge concern that I share with those who are criticizing.
Right.
But of course, we need to finish investigation on that. Then you come to 1DNF. I'm telling you today, if you are talking about 1DNF, if it hasn't really attained its best expectation, probably we can analyze that. But
to end the news, the headlines again. Mahama has urged the state-owned enterprise to deliver on reset agenda or step aside. 150 Ghanaians detained in USA awaiting deportation, says the foreign minister. The health ministry sets up 9-member task force to roll out Mahama Cares. Minority describes 2025 budget as misleading document designed to tarnish NPP image. 2025 budget fails to address most pressing economic challenges facing Ghanaians, says Opon Nkrumah. Despite party ties, Dr. Amoah has asked for the investigation of the National Cathedral. Also, to acknowledge my sponsors: Big Family Multimedia Institute, BFM Store, Trustees Network Group, Center for Trade. You can follow us and watch us live and also listen to us on Facebook at BFM Network and ABK TV Ghana. Thank you for listening to News at 6. My name is Esther Kusiak-Bobli.
You are listening to Big Family Radio. Big Family Radio. Obiase Eye.
Admission